From the many stories on the internet, reaching ghosts, goblins, demons, and even insane people. The stories that are either written to be scary or tell an interesting story based on real life. This is Etowah Core 2008.
My family had grown an attachment to North Dakota despite how shitty it was. We never lived near big cities as far as towns go. All we had was a farm and a house that looked like it was built during the 1900s, and the house we lived in looked a bit abandoned. I see drawings that I created when I was 5. It was the only place I can draw since we didn't have any paper. Yeah, real convenient. We did have a phone to keep in contact with our relatives. What am I saying? I'll just get to my story. I had relatives come over for my parents' anniversary, and my cousins also showed up to hang out with me. It was October 16th, and we didn't have any Halloween decorations put up. Not like it mattered anyway. Nobody ever came here except for my family relatives. We would just buy a bucket full of candy and watch a horror movie we rented at Blockbuster. That night, when my cousins were camping outside, my older cousin Alex told me a story in his neighborhood that there was a creature lurking in the forest that eats his prey and hides any evidence of fighting any bodies or bones left with that prey. They call it the monster in the forest, but they also call it the North Dakota banshee because it was first found in North Dakota. It was also known to live in areas near big bodies of forest and can even spy on you, and even in its hideout. It's hard to believe when you're 11 years old, but what scared me was that there was a forest behind our farm. I never went out unless I was with a guardian, obviously. But even then, I never explored 90% of the forest. My other cousin, who was 1 year younger than me, then spoke up. "You're full of crap, Alex." "I swear, I'm not lying. While I may tease and pick on others, I wouldn't even lie even on my dead mom's grave," he claimed. And he said that like he mean it. I could tell from his worried expression. "Like I'm gonna believe you," Jack said again. "Remember last time when you convinced me that the boogeyman existed?" Jack did have a point there, but I knew for a fact it was just a practical joke he played. It was all fun and games. I heard Alex get called by his grandma as I looked at Jack with a serious expression. Jack said nothing as he laid down, pulling out his Game Boy he got for his birthday 4 months ago. It wasn't later until everyone went to sleep. Me and Alex were sleeping in the tent since I didn't mind being outdoors. Alex got up to use the bathroom in our house, which left me outside all alone. For a few minutes nothing happened, but I didn't think much of it. But that's when I heard branches breaking and coming from the forest. Who was out here in the middle of the night? I got up and grabbed my flashlight and then looked around the tent to see if anyone was outside. I didn't see anything out there. But then I heard the sound again. This time it sounded much closer than before. My instincts told me to go out and explore the forest, but something else told me otherwise. Just as I turned around, I saw Alex walk behind me.
"What are you doing awake?"
he asked. I didn't know what to say, not when I'm shaken up. I heard something coming from the forest, and I want to see what's out there, was all I said.
"You didn't think to bring a weapon with you? Come on, let's head to the kitchen and grab some knives."
I knew those were dangerous, and I was told not to play with them. But if it's for safety use, then I guess it's fine with me. We grabbed our knives and started heading into the forest. It was darker than the night sky, and our flashlight barely helped us as we were now far away from my home. Why the hell did I think it was a good idea to go in the forest late at night? Minutes felt like hours as we weren't finding anything. But that's when we come across some old railroad tracks that I've never seen before. They were adjacent to the wall of trees on the other side, and they seemed lifeless. Alex finally thought it was time to go back before our parents got worried, but then I splashed in a puddle. I was upset when I did this, but when I looked down at my shoe to where I stepped in, I saw dark crimson blood, and it was fresh too. I looked around the tracks and saw more puddles of blood that led to the other side of the tracks. That was when Alex changed his mind about heading back.
We should probably follow it just in case if anyone's hurt.
He said as he looked to the other side of the forest. Before I could think, he rushed over and sprinted towards the forest. I wanted to follow behind, but then I noticed something laying right next to one of the trees. It was a piece of paper with some poorly drawn thing. It looked like a Wendigo, but the bottom jaw was hanging low. It looked very uncanny, as if someone rushed to draw this thing. Maybe someone was in danger. But what scared me the most about this drawing was its sharp fingers like claws that were covered in that dark crimson blood. It looked so realistic that I just wanted to touch it to see if it was real. I heard Alex call out my name, and I ran into the forest. Alex must have seen my face because he then asked if I was okay. I described the drawing I saw near a tree, and I even told him that we should probably head back. Before Alex could respond, the blood trail came to an end at a mine. It was abandoned, judging by the crisscross ivy and the overgrown grass near the entrance.
Hello?
Alex shouted.
Is anyone okay in there?
No response came out. But as we turned around and started heading home, then we heard a loud piercing scream. It was coming from the mine, and we knew something was in there.
You stay here while I go check what's inside the mine.
He said as he ran into the mine like it was the end of the world. I didn't know what to do to pass the time. All I had was a flashlight and a knife in my hand. I just sat there, just fiddling with a piece of branch, and even brushed my hands against the soft, damp grass. I heard something in the forest, and my instincts told me that I should hide. I decided to hide behind a pile of open crates. I was just sitting there, lying on my back. I prayed to God that it wasn't a creature or whatever the hell it was. I didn't dare look, even if my curiosity got the better of me. I already knew what it was when I heard the loud shriek of a monster. Immediately, I started thinking about the North Dakota banshee Alex told me about. I could hear the soft growl and screaming sounds coming from the entrance of the mine. And that's when I heard him go in. What the absolute hell was that? I kept thinking in my mind. I took out the drawing of my paper and looked at the creepy drawing. I felt something behind the paper. It was dry, and it couldn't be my fingers. To my horror, I saw dry blood on the back of the paper, along with a creepy note that read, "Turn back before it's too late. The banshee's coming." My heart skipped a beat. I couldn't even feel my legs. I was paralyzed. I heard loud shrieks of the banshee in the mine, along with Alex's scream of horror. All I could do was sit there paralyzed, while Alex was being torn apart. Finally, my legs came back to life, and I got out and tore out of the area screaming in horror. I ran back to the adjacent tracks with a knife still in my hand. I don't know if that banshee heard me or not, so I looked back often to see if it was behind me. He never appeared whenever I looked, so I just dropped the knife and bolted for it. I could see the house lights coming from the distance. I made it back to the tent safely without a single scratch on me. I fell asleep trying to pretend anything happened. The next morning, I heard my family members calling out for Alex to come home. I saw that they were looking around the forest, but they couldn't find anything but a knife that I left in the forest. They never assumed that it was me who went into the forest, since they had no evidence that I was. Many missing reports were all over the local town, near our homes, and even on my milk cartons. I can't look at Alex's face without thinking about the banshee. I'm older now, and I live in a more populated area in Washington with my lovely wife and 2 kids. And I get visits from Jack a lot. One day, we were at a restaurant. He said something that brought back many horrible memories.
I saw you and Alex go into the forest when I was getting a glass of milk to help fall asleep. I was praying that you and Alex would come back. I never told on you for going into the forest unsupervised, and I kept quiet about what happened until now.
I told him what happened in the forest and told him about the creature, but he already knew about the creature while we were gone. He saw that creature in the forest, scraping its long claw-like fingers against the wooden trees. I decided to call it a day, and I went back home. I never said anything about what happened in that forest until now, but I still hold this guilt, the guilt of my older cousin left for dead.